General Mattis, you've worked your way up the ranks as a leader throughout your career. What things can a young scout do to develop themselves into a great leader?
Yeah, developing yourself into a great leader is a good way to put it, because leaders are not born. Leaders are made. And what I did was, as I left Richland and took the Scout Oath and what I learned in the Boy Scouts with me, I also developed a hankering, a desire to read about other leaders. And little by little, I learned how other people had dealt with problems, because that's what leadership is all about. You need role models when you're developing as a young man, young woman, and trying to become your own person in life, your own type of leadership, because you don't want to just copy someone else. You have to stay yourself. You're good enough. You just have to build on your approach to living. The Boy Scouts give you good framework, but I also found some great framing advice from the father of our country, General George Washington. You have to wonder, how did General Washington take all these free young men from all over the colonies who didn't know each other, they didn't trust each other in all cases? How did he pull them together into a revolutionary army that would beat the biggest and best army in the world at that time, the British Redcoats, and as a result, give us the country, the freedom we have today? How did he do it? And as I studied his leadership, it was really a rather methodical approach. And it's easy to remember, and I have followed it ever since I was young and first read about it. What George Washington did was he identified his problem right up front. How do you take independent guys from Delaware who go fishing every day and are now in the Army and put them under these grandees from Virginia and South Carolina guys who speak so different that people in Boston can't even understand them? How did he create an army out of these free men, knowing that they were fighting for freedom, but he needed them to be disciplined and be good soldiers, or they would not win on the battlefield, we would not win our freedom, and in fact, his army could die if they didn't do it. Here's the way George Washington did it. He would listen very carefully, and he did not listen just long enough to say, fine, I hear you, but I'm gonna go off and do whatever I wanted to do in the first place. He actually listened, and he was willing to be persuaded because he thought maybe other people had something of value to tell him. And so he learned from them. So the first two steps were he would listen to others and really listen to them, and then he would learn from them how they looked at a situation, at a problem. And then he would figure a way to help them. So he would listen to them and learn from them. He's showing respect to them there. Then he would help them, and he's building their confidence in him. And at that point, he would lead. So what I would suggest is you look at how George Washington learned to become a great leader. He wasn't just born a great leader either. He had to learn. He had to answer the same question to himself that you just asked me. He would listen and learn, and then he would help others, and then he would lead. That's a great, great formula, I think, for young leaders who are learning to apply their own style, their own character, their own values to leading others.